Happy Monday. Whoa, how are you? I'm glad to be back. I've been here a lot. Nice to see you again. Hello, sir. I have all my best friends. Very honored today to be here to speak to a woman I've long admired and whose performances always fill me with joy. So I would love to bring to the stage Andrea Martin.
Oh my God, thank you. I was like Hillary Clinton for a second. Go right say, hi.
They like you. They really like you.
Yay. What a cozy little place this is.
Nice. We're going to talk about some fun stuff and some deep stuff too.
Oh, good.
Yes. So before we get into the show, I always like to ask funny people, when did you first know you were funny?
Well, I don't think I really knew that comedy was an option until Second City, and I was really in my late 20s at that point. Before that, I was just doing like musicals and summer stock. But I guess Second City improv really was, had parentheses around it in comedy.
Right, and obviously very prestigious at the time to train there.
Yes, yes.
And did someone encourage you to hone those skills? Did you work with someone in theater and they thought, we're sort of wasting your talents as a choral member, choir person. We'd love for you to just kind of focus on being funny.
So it was in Toronto. So Second City started in Chicago, and then they had a company in Toronto. And I was doing What's a Nice Country Like You doing in a state like this. Does anybody remember that? And it was a little dinner theater musical with Marty Short. We were doing it together. And Gilda Radner was in Second City at the time. That was the original company in Chicago with Dan Aykroyd and Gilda Radner and John Candy. And Gilda left to do Saturday Night Live, and they were looking for women. And, it was new at the time, so they asked me if I would audition. I'd never done improv, and it was terrifying. It's still terrifying. I've spent my life doing it, and I'm still terrified. It
never gets easier.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Improv is, but improv is great. How many are you all actors here? So you've all done all improv and everything. So now. Improvisation is used as a tool for people with anxiety disorders or OCD, and it's used all around the country. And I have a lot of anxiety. It's great because you don't have time to second guess. You have to just be in the moment. So it was really an amazing tool for me, really, to develop skills as an actress, because I didn't really have time to, get nervous. Yeah.
And what was it like working with all those amazing people? I mean, I was watching old clips this morning, and I have to say, pretty much funnier than most quote-unquote comedy on TV today.
Wow.
No, some of those concepts, just sketch concepts, I feel like just there's so much sketch now, there's so much competition.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, I was thinking about what was going on in the world at the time and how kind of cool and interesting this stuff was. It was not, like, I watched Ricardo Montalban acting school sketch. I don't know if you guys remember that with Eugene Levy. I mean, it's such a simple concept, and it's just, he nails the accent too, but there's something about, there was just quaintness to it. And maybe it was the Canadian element. There's like a nice separation between, there's just an ease, I guess, that maybe it was different from SNL at the time.
Yeah, well, I think because it wasn't live, we taped them all. We didn't have the onus of having to be, politically relevant. And it was quaint. It was done in a little studio in CBC in Toronto. And then we even moved to quainter territory in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where we were filming down in the basement of ITV. I shouldn't say that. I mean, we had a good time if anybody's from Edmonton, but it was quaint. So I think the fact that we were just a small group of people without the distraction of media or frankly anything in show business, really.
Pressure, you didn't
and no
feel
pressure, no competition. We were just making each other laugh, and we didn't really even know what an audience felt. It wasn't until I think maybe 2008 when SCTV was honored at the Aspen Comedy Festival, and they had an audience and they showed clips, and it was the first time we'd ever heard laughs. It was a very moving experience. Yeah.
What is it like to perform comedy when no one's laughing? I mean, that's a hard thing.
Well, we relied on, that's what I mean. It was a family. We relied on each other. We were always on the floor. Whoever wasn't in the scene was on the floor looking at the monitors, and in those days you could say, well, let's try it this way, and then just shoot it again. And we were always, giving suggestions. And the crew worked with us for 7 years. It was the same crew, so they became an audience. So yeah, we relied on each other.
You always hear if the crew members are laughing, you're good.
100%.
Right,
I still
right.
play to a cameraman. That's my audience. Yeah. Well, they're so, they're jaded, exhausted. They've been doing it a long time, and yeah.
Also, crews offer a great cross section of the population. Male, female, people from different classes and racial backgrounds, and it is a nice focus group, sort of on set every day.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that's right.
And I also found a great interview that you and Catherine had done. It was for some sort of retrospective. Oh. This was just a couple years ago, and she brought up the fact that you were not paid as a writer on the show. And you just chalked it up to just straightforward old-fashioned misogyny, which, I get it.
Well, Catherine felt that way, and she should have, because she really is a great writer. And writing is not, even though I've done a lot of it, I wouldn't, it's not my first love, but it really is hers. And she was responsible for some of the best sketches that we did on this show, certainly that I did with her. So I know if she was here, she'd still be fighting. Those guys, she was always, but I was just happy if I was in a sketch. I'm from the summer stock mentality. Give me a pair of glasses and a wig and I'll go on. But she took a lot of pride in her writing, and it was right, and she should have been, paid that way. Yeah.
Also, you were inventing a new concept, and the business
100%.
Model of sketch comedy, I think, is still evolving. I think people still don't really know how to credit people properly. I mean, that's it's why we have guilds, to protect people's work and stuff like that. But at the time, I can't imagine anybody really knew what you were trying to do.
Right, and we were very young, Catherine particularly. Let me see, I was in my late 20s, and so she was like 21, 22. So yeah, there was no precedence. You're absolutely right. And nobody had agents and publicists, was my publicist, to protect us. Yeah.
You guys have enough team members to last your lifetime now, right?
Yes.
A lot of input, a lot of input. So when SCTV ended, did you have a sense of you wanted to do movies? Because you had done so much stage work, a lot of musicals, did you have a sense of, okay, now this is phase 2, I want so-and-so's career? Is there somebody you idolized or sort of thought, oh, wow, she's really doing the kind of work I want to do, or he?
Well, let me be really honest about that. I've never looked at anybody else's career and thought, this is the career I want. But I've looked at other people and thought, I wish I was as good as they are. So I remember thinking, and Gilda and I were friends because we'd done Godspell together in Toronto, and that was the kind of legendary company in that company was Marty Short, Eugene Levy, Gilda Radner, Victor Garber, myself, and Paul Schaefer was our musical director. And this is how we all got our start. But I remember thinking at the time, I wish I could be as free and confident and letting my vulnerability show and be as authentic as Gilda was. So I think that's something I've always aimed to be. Can I be comfortable? And those are the kind of people that I really looked up to. Madeline Kahn, Gilda Radner, people that were really, Jan Hooks, I just thought was an extraordinary comedian. Lily, a lot of people, a lot of women. Tina Fey's a great example of somebody who's so authentic. Amy Poehler. But I've spent my life hiding in characters, so finding my authenticity or finding that I was as interesting as myself came a lot later. Now I actually feel comfortable, but it took a long time. So that's what I looked at yeah.
And speaking of you being very funny, I think you are so great on this show. It's I feel like you speak to moms everywhere. I feel like I'm watching myself. If my mom could be an intern at my company, she absolutely would. What specifically about this character spoke to you as being a good fit for you now in your career? And you were so great in Greek Wedding. I mean, you've done so many things that I think people, because you're so good at so many things, I think people may forget how much you've done. You're one of those actors who you don't hog the scene. You come and you do your thing, and you're such a great ensemble player.
No, that's
and I think that's
really
why this
great compliment.
Well, no,
Thank you.
Comedians are sometimes me, and you don't come across that way.
No.
But this show and what Tina always tries to create in her shows is ensemble first. But your character has to be, kind of okay with getting attention. So what appealed to you about this character now?
Oh, well, one, I'm a mom. I have a 34-year-old and he'll be 36 July 1st. So that, of course, is something I thought, well, I can do that convincingly. So that was number one. All right, good. But look, when Tina Fey calls you and says, I have a project that I think you'd be interested in, I don't think you think, well, let me read it first. I'll let you know if I like it. You're like, yeah, all right. So, she asked me if I would meet Tracy Wigfield, who really was her protege from 30 Rock, who won an Emmy for the last show of 30 Rock. And she's a young girl. She's in her early 30s. She had me meet Tracy at Cafe Luxembourg in New York. And I met Tracy. She told me about her mom. And what I really loved, I hope I can put this in words, what I loved about her description of their relationship was that it felt close and maybe a little codependent, but didn't feel unhealthy. It didn't feel neurotic at all, actually. It just felt like two people that were very close and obviously had differences, but loved each other and had a lot of respect for each other. And I couldn't think of other mom-daughter relationships on television that had that. Either the mom is, I don't know, has a problem with alcohol, or she's.
Think about like Deborah Messing and Debbie Reynolds on Will and Grace. She was her mom, right?
I don't remember.
I think she played her mom, but there was a contentiousness, and there was
yes,
and it was very funny. But it was also
very funny. Doesn't mean that it's not funny.
I guess,
but I liked that there was a challenge. Can this be funny and still be loving and not annoying, and yet challenging enough that they have differences, that it would be a nice blend on television. And I also liked that it was for the family, and I don't like violence at all. So I don't know. There was something wholesome. I love John Michael Higgins and Horatio Sands and Nicole Richie, who was a find of a lifetime to think that she could be so funny. Yeah. Did you just see the pilot? So if you had seen all 10 shows, which I wish you wouldn't stay later, it will only bring you till about 12 tonight if you have nothing else to do.
Doing a marathon, you guys.
If you did have I call it a benefit of seeing the rest of the shows, you'd see how Nicole's character grew, and of course, like any show, you see how it grows and the characters become, I don't know, deeper, or they're more comfortable. So
she's a real surprise, though. I don't think a lot of people would have thought that she had the comedy chops.
Exactly.
But
everybody does.
I've never seen her act like this before.
100%. And she's, she's a great girl, too. Just really comfortable. Talk about somebody comfortable in her own skin. And I love Briga Heelan, who plays my daughter, beautiful and funny. I don't know. What was the question? I could talk about this forever, because I love the show.
What appealed to you specifically about this project? But you've answered it beautifully.
Beautifully.
So we can just end that now. Okay.
And for very long. I'm sorry. Okay.
No. I love long-winded. I've done about 10 of these events in the last few weeks. So just keep
you?
talking. I have.
Oh my God.
Just keep talking as much as you like.
What didn't somebody talk about? Because I don't want to bore you.
Well, it's been mostly men I've interviewed. So this is a nice change.
Wonderful.
So
then
we're
I'm
very happy to have you.
Crossed.
How do you think comedy has changed since you started? I mean, let's use the show as an example. It's single camera. There isn't an audience like we were talking about with SCTV. But is there an inherent shift that you've seen in the way shows are written, in what you think people think is funny, but also maybe your own sense of comedy? Has it evolved since you started?
Honestly, I think because are you hearing me with this mic? Do I have to hold it closer? It's okay there too. It's okay, a little bit closer. I can hear the. Yeah. Okay. Good. I think there's a comedy for everybody now. I think that's how it's changed. When I was a young girl, I watched a lot of variety shows like Ed Sullivan and Carol Burnett, and I caught the end of your show of shows. And there was like one kind of variety, and then there was Lucille Ball, and then there was Gunsmoke. But now you can watch it. I'm on a show on a Hulu called Difficult People, and oh, good, and that is
Not as wholesome.
Huh?
Not as wholesome.
Not as wholesome, and it's it's a lot of pop culture references, but I think there's an audience for that. I think there's an audience for great news. I think there's audience for Will and Grace, which we're going to follow. I think there's an audience for Veep, for Kimmy Schmidt. Look, to get any attention in television today is kind of a miracle. There's so much out there. So in one way, that's fabulous for actors because there's a lot of things. In another way, it's not great in terms of, I guess, recognition or money. But we won't get into that because I think the salaries are less because it's so dispersed. But so in answer to your question, I think there's a little bit of SCTV. John Mulaney and Nick Kroll just did Oh Hello on Broadway, and they have a special on Netflix. Well, that's more of SCTV. That's sketch comedy, so funny. Marty Short and Maya Rudolph did a variety show. So, it exists, but there's just a lot more diversity.
Who or what makes you laugh the most? I mean, you worked with some of the funniest people who've ever lived. I mean, Eugene Levy and John. I mean, I cannot imagine that having been your entree to.
I know.
You probably were very spoiled, and then you left that bubble.
Yeah, that
and you're
was
like,
a rough
ooh.
couple of years.
Yeah, that
when we kept thinking that we would have that same. I know everybody from SCTV will talk to you about that. When you just thought you could improvise whatever you thought was funny, or you go up to another actor, what do you think this is? How do you think this should go? And they just be sticking to their own lines. It was a rough transition. Anyway, but then we learned. Who do I think is funny? I think. I idolized Madeline Kahn. That scene she did in Paper Moon. Just doesn't get better than that. I think Catherine O'Hara. I shouldn't be saying this because I know I'm here talking about me. But does anybody see Schitt's Creek? Has anybody seen it? I mean, come on. That character she does.
the role she was born to play.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is extraordinary. She's just great, and I love her. And I think that, she's recognized in Canada at the Canadian Screen Awards there, but I don't know how many people get to see Schitt's Creek here because I think it just got on Netflix. But I love her. Marty Short constantly makes me laugh. All those kids do, and SCT kids. How about that? Kids. God
Still
damn
kids.
it, I'm old, but I can talk like a young'un. The kids today. Who else makes me laugh? Amy Poehler on Parks and Rec I thought was so funny. And
Do you watch stand-up specials? Since there's one like literally every day that comes out.
Do I
there
watch
were
what?
Stand-up comedy specials? Is
I
there
don't.
Okay.
I actually don't know the world of stand-up. I don't know any. I'm working with the sweetest guy now. I bet you guys know him, Adam Ferreira. Do you know that actor? I'm doing a movie in Toronto, and he plays my son. Although I keep thinking he's too old to play my son. Never mind. We're in the 4th week of shooting, so can't believe I'm still second guessing that.
You can't recast yourself
But
at
he's a
this
stand-up. He's a great guy, but I don't really know that world. No.
Very different, separate world too. I think you
It's
can
a different
excel in
world.
one and then not
But
necessarily.
who I think made an amazing crossover was Mike Birbiglia, who I love him.
Did you
and
see his movie?
I did. I thought it was extraordinary, and we were just together because we were doing a benefit to honor Nathan Lane in New York, and I got to tell him because I've seen his one-man shows.
Don't look twice, or don't think twice.
Don't think twice about the improv group.
So good.
So he made a crossover, and so did those two amazing. I don't know if they call themselves stand-ups, Key and Peele. Do they call? Yeah, look at the transition they've made. My God. Yeah.
There is definitely a huge landscape.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of great one-liners in this show?
Do
you?
Thought you meant in life.
No, in life
I was
too.
thinking, what are they? All right.
I don't know all the funny things you've said. I only just met you like an hour ago. Do you have a favorite line from Great News that has stuck with you? The Teddy Ruxpin thing made me laugh out loud. Like I rewatched that a few times because I'm like, this is the most absurd barf on a cassette in a Teddy Ruxpin doll. Like, I don't know why. It just speaks to maybe the way my cultural references as a kid.
As a kid. I forget. I'm one of those people that can do a Broadway play for 1 year and the next day not remember the song I sang the night before? So that's a tough question. I'm in the moment doing them, and then I kind of
Favorite
forget.
scene or favorite sequence or storyline?
Favorite scene or favorite... there's a sequence in the 10th show where it's a kind of a dramatic moment, but I love it, where John Michael Higgins wants to give up on his career, and it's beautifully shot too. It's in a stairwell. It's in the 10th show, and I say to him I'm going to tell you two things. I say to him, if you give up on your career, then what's going to happen to somebody like me who's just starting out? I'm so paraphrasing. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then there's a great scene, and I don't know which episode that is. I don't know it's either 10 or 11, where Briga says, because I'm so in her life all the time, she said, my daughter in the show says to me, Mom, because I say I want a career, and she says, Mom, you could have had a career. Did you just give it up because I was just an easy convenience? And then Tracy wrote the most beautiful speech. I'm probably going to cry. I'm not going to even say it right now. But it was so beautiful, and in a way she wrote it that was funny and beautiful, which is, it wasn't a convenience, it was a choice. And those are my favorite two dramatic things, but there's so many comedy moments in it.
Those moments mean a lot after you've had a lot of laughs, and then you sort of segue.
Exactly.
And that's what Tina and Robert do so well, is they
100%.
infuse the heart.
Yep.
It's not just one thing, and I
Yep.
think that's why their shows are very beautiful.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of great audience questions. I want to make
okay.
sure we get to those. We'll start with Terry and her incredible penmanship with her purple pen. Where is Terry? Hi. Lots of swirls and curly cues. I like it.
Did you go to Catholic school with nuns?
No, it's very impressive.
There you go.
So you practiced a lot during class. Yeah. So she says that she loved your book, Lady Parts. And do you have any plans to write another book?
Not in this lifetime. That nearly killed me. I did it. I feel proud that I did it, but writing is, it's a lonely experience. You're in your head a lot, but.
How long ago did the book come out?
2 years, 2 or 3 years
so
ago.
I remember seeing. I couldn't remember if it was a couple years ago. Okay.
But I'm proud to have written it, but no, I don't have any.
What did you
plans to write
learn
another
about
one.
yourself writing the book? I know that is not an easy exercise, and some people. I just remember talking to Jeffrey Tambor, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so boring." Like when he was writing, he realized how boring he was writing the book. That's a very Jeffrey thing to say too. But did you have any epiphanies about
I didn't think I was boring, but I did think I had a lot of problems. I mean, I don't know. Wow, I got a lot of stuff. I mean, I wasn't afraid to show my. I'm going to use the word neuroses, but I wasn't I hope that to some people, I bet it would sound crazy or whining or like I was, but to other people, I hope, young women specifically, that my honesty about certain things that I've dealt with in my life reach them. But I don't know. That's, yeah.
Honesty
Okay.
is huge.
Yeah.
A book like that doesn't work unless it's honest.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Sheila, where is Sheila? Oh, hello. Sheila would like to know, who is your favorite character you played on SCTV and why?
Well, I guess my favorite character is Edith Prickley, because it's really, somebody, it's cellular almost. I still, I was here a couple of weekends ago doing a benefit for the International Armenian Women's Association. I just flew in for a night. And, I did Edith Prickley, and I can still fit into the jacket and the hat. And I'm like, wow, this person has really served me. And I was on Seth Meyers. Did anybody see the Seth Meyers? I was on Seth Meyers, and I'm going to drop a name now. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote a rap for Edith Prickley. And I did it. Shall I do it quickly? So Edith Prickley was this character with a leopard hat and leopard jacket, and it was for my one-person show, and I said, oh God, this was before Hamilton. He was telling me at the time, I'm writing a show about Alexander Hamilton. I went, good luck. So that should really work out. And then it turned anyway. So I said, I want something kind of cool for Edith Prickley because, and so this is what he wrote. See if I can remember. What am I supposed to do? Shrivel up and cry now? Menopause and then applause and thank you. Can I die now? What, I'm pushing 60. Suddenly I'm sickly. Hey, suck this Dixie cup. I'm Edith Prickley. All my life I have barreled through every stoplight. Sorry, baby starlet, I don't want to leave the spotlight. Give me the love, give me the stage, give me the laughter. Give me the 32-ounce margarita after. I can boogie, I can bake, I can shimmy, I can shake. You can stay on Golden Pond. I'm skinny dipping in this lake. I'm prickly and I'm proud. I'm prickly and I'm loud. I'm wearing leopard print so you can pick me in a crowd. Give me the energy to live and never settle. Put my pedal to the meadow, from the ghetto to the shtetl. Fuck your pedo. I'm pulling my own string because I got my own song to sing. I told you everything must what? Everything must what? Everything must go. There you go. There you go. Yeah. No guy did that here, have they, in the last...
Wow, that's what happens when two geniuses collide right there. That is... And amazing that you remember that. You just said that you don't...
Because I do my show, not a lot, but it's real. I've been doing, I have a one-person show, and I do that to end the show, and I just did it. So it's really... And by the way, I can't remember anything, but that I can remember. Yeah.
That was a real treat. Thank you very much. Jeff, where's Jeff? Hello, Jeff. Jeff would like to know, how did you prepare for the physicality of your role in Pippin? Shifting gears slightly.
I went to a school here called Cirque School on Hollywood Boulevard, and I studied there with I'm not gonna remember her name, the owner, and I loved her. I went to a circus school called Streb in Brooklyn in New York, and I trained every day with the circus choreographer and the acrobat Yannick Thomas, who was my trapeze partner. So I worked for about 6 months and did Pilates 5 days. I worked really, I'd kill to be in that shape now. Kill. Believe me, if I were doing Pippin, I wouldn't be wearing this sweater. You'd be seeing my arms. But now, post-Pippin. But I worked really hard because it meant a lot to me to do a traditional circus act. I didn't want to do anything with gimmicks or, nets or anything. So I worked hard. So did you see it here at the Pantages? Yeah. So great. So great. That was beautiful.
And finally, Brian. Where's Brian? Hello, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Brian would like to know, in addition to SCTV and on the other training, comedy training, what else have you done to hone your skills and timing over the years? Like acting classes and teachers? Or
Yeah, when I was 50, and my career was, kind of in one place, and I really wanted to do more dramatic plays. And I'm sure you know his name. I called up Larry Moss, who's an acting coach here, yeah. And I said, can I meet with you? And I really want to change the direction of my career. And he knew the work I'd done, and he said, if you come to my classes and you turn down work that keeps you in the same... ask you to do the same thing for 2 years, I promise that you can change your career. So I took classes with him. It was in Santa Monica, Edgemar, I think is the name of that. Is it Edgemar? Yeah. And everybody in the class was 20, and I was 50. And David Rashi was also there, a wonderful actor, and he was in his 50s. And I was just determined. I still work with Larry on everything I do. I work, even, it's great news. I just work, now it's like superstitious, so I work with him on everything. I did turn down work. I don't know if a lot was coming in, but I turned down work. And then the first thing I did after that was the rose tattoo. At the Huntington Theater, a wonderful director, Nikki Martin, who was a close friend and is no longer with us, offered me the part of Serafina Del Rosa, and that kind of, it made me believe that I could be taken seriously, because I believed I was serious, but it took working with Larry for 2 years and a dream that I could have something different. So, yeah.
What a lovely way to end it. Thank you guys for
Aw,
coming. Thank
thank
you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.